Welcome to the Queer Conversation podcast, brought to you by LOTL Media, a show where we discuss all things queer. I am your host, Silke Bader, a publisher and producer in the LGBTQI space in Australia for the past 30 years. So welcome to Queer Conversation. In the studio with me today is Jacqueline and Tina. How are you?
Going well.
Yeah, very well. Thanks for having us.
You just released a web series called Out of Here. Everything about it is just so well done, and you have won awards, is that right, with Sparkle Out of Here as well? Well, congratulations on it. I don't think there is enough visibility about disability in the queer community. So I know that you also did another web series called Sparkle. What motivated you to actually enter this space?
My parents, my friends, and as well as Jacqueline, she's another director, and other friends that I got back by myself from Taiwan. So I'm really happy about that. For me, it's every part of my life. That does mean something to me, and making me going, give me focus, and one person I love is my parents, and a very good friend of us.
So we basically, with Sparkles, it was a short film, and we released that in 2020. But Tina and I met a couple of years prior, so we met in 2018. I was Tina's writing mentor, so the idea was to kind of teach Tina how to write a screenplay. She had been writing for years. She had all these stories. She was very passionate about movies. But, traditionally, film schools haven't been very accessible. And so it was really my job to kind of create a process for Tina to learn how to write a screenplay and develop her own process as a writer. And so we wrote Sparkles.
Yeah.
Because I work in the film industry as a freelancer as well. Tina kind of asked me to direct it. And so it's been an ongoing collaboration. And I think for this one, what Tina was saying, her parents were a huge inspiration for Sparkles, in that they kept pushing Tina to keep writing and keep telling stories. They were very supportive. And I met Tina's mum, Kim, right before we started writing initially together.
Yes.
And then when we were making Out of Here, Sparkles kind of touched on Tina's kind of coming of age story. It wasn't, I would say Out of Here has more of Tina's personality in it than Sparkles. Sparkles is just coming of age story about, a queer woman living with Down syndrome who ran away from a country town to kind of, forge a new life in the big city. She just felt too big for that town. I think that's definitely what hit home with us with Sparkles. I mean, that had like a 3-year festival run, and we still get, people emailing us wanting to see it or wanting to screen it. And it just feels really amazing that, it's so many people have seen it and it's had an impact on, different audiences. And Out of Here touches more on like Tina's personal experiences and I guess fantasies and fairy tales of coming out, and whereas Sparkles more just has queer representation in it rather than touching on that specific story. It was just nice to work on something that didn't have a heavy message, had a really joyful message, and had its message was in its representation, and it was just meant to be a celebration of that. And I think that hopefully came across, and I think people are just sitting back and for 20 minutes just get to joy and laugh, feel joy and laugh. And we had another good friend of ours who was a dear friend that we dedicated the series to, who unfortunately passed away when we were at the very beginning of making Out of Here. So we dedicated the series to her because she was a huge part of Tina's journey on Sparkles and my journey as well. She was Tina's performance coach. Yeah, we've received good feedback so far, and we hope that, Out of Here is as well loved as Sparkles. I think, though, to Tina's point, her watching her own work, I find that it's so important for, I guess when we make things together, it's about Tina seeing herself represented for the first time, and it's about Tina seeing the stories that she wishes she saw growing up. And so we love, and we're so appreciative of how well everything has done, but it hasn't kind of, deterred us from like really just making sure that Tina shares her story. And we know that there's power in other people seeing that too, and we hope that they see that and it's widely received. But it's really special for Tina to be able to, at 40-something years old, finally see stories that reflect her experience, her desires, her fantasies. And I think that was a really important thing for us with this series in particular, was that to not shy away from, I guess Tina's fantasy of having like, her knight in shining armor, her Daikon bike, ride her off into the sunset. And when we talk about people living with disabilities, and often, disabilities such as Down syndrome or intellectual disabilities, we tend to not think of them as people that have romantic desires, who are sexual beings. And I think that was really important in this series, to tell your fairy tale and, have your, fairy tale come true and represented. And so that's really what it was. And I think it is so engaging for that sense, because you kind of get those little traditional fairy tale characters come out in just a completely different representation. I hope that comes across. That's definitely what we tried to do. And we had an amazing team.
How is it working with a diverse team?
Well, I mean, in working with Tina, I think because we have developed such a trusting relationship from day one, right from the beginning, I think working with Tina specifically, there were a lot of lessons learned in the very beginning in terms of, I guess adapting traditional processes to Tina's learning style. But I get asked this question a lot, and I do feel like as a director, I can see why it's asked, but I also as a director, you're working with different actors all the time. You're working with different heads of department, different crew members, and really it's all about adapting to each and every person's needs. Yeah, my priority is always to create just a very safe and playful set. And working with Tina has been a dream, because throughout the years we've both grown as storytellers, but also to see her progression and just the fact that we both show up willing and excited by the work. And I think that's really special. And I love working with people with various living disabilities, because often they're just so excited to finally get the opportunity to tell their story. And so they should have many more opportunities. But, usually they're just so excited to finally get this opportunity. And it's about facilitating that. And it's been I feel very lucky to have met Tina and been a small part of her story. Yeah.
So where can people see the short film?
It is online. Sparkles. I think it's on Vimeo. So Sparkles 2020. It's by Rush Films.
Out of There is on YouTube.
Out of There is on YouTube. All episodes are streaming. We do have a TikTok as well, where we post little BTS and little funny clips.
Is there any other way apart from watching it that people can support you?
I mean, if you want to get in touch, I have a website, JacquelinePelczar.com, but also if you Google Blackwood River Productions or Rush Films, you can get in touch with our producers and just reach out to us to screen it. I think that's really helpful for short form content, is if people host screenings or want to screen it as a part of I've actually had different workplaces reach out and want to screen it as a part of Pride events.
Well, thank you so much for joining Queer Conversation today. All the best with both of your films.
Thank you so much for having us and reaching out and just giving us this opportunity. We really appreciate it.
Hey, Billy.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you would like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from us, you can follow us on Instagram Twitter, TikTok or Facebook using the tag @LOTL or head over to our website lotl.com. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.